All right, so we've got this whole stack of materials here, all about drug manufacturing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of wild to think about, that little pill you swallow.
Yeah.
It's got quite the journey behind it from like the lab bench to, a full-blown factory.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a really complex process.
Okay, so can you kind of walk me through that? Like, what's the big picture here?
Sure. So I think what's interesting is that it's not just, making a bigger batch.
Right, not just like upsizing the recipe.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to think about, things like enabling chemistry. That's a big one.
Enabling chemistry. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I saw that in the materials, but what does that even mean?
So enabling chemistry, it's like it's the steps, that maybe you don't see at first,
Okay.
but it's about making sure you can produce that drug efficiently and with the right purity,
Right.
even when you're making, tons of it.
On a massive scale, yeah.
Exactly. Like, finding the right catalyst to speed up a reaction.
Okay.
Or figuring out how to purify the compounds.
Oh, so it's like having the right tools and techniques
Yeah.
to go from like your kitchen to a huge bakery.
Exactly. Yeah, you said it perfectly.
Okay, cool. So what are some of the, what are the real challenges
Oh, there are a bunch.
when you're trying to scale up like that?
Yeah, so like imagine going from a little flask in the lab to like a giant reactor vessel.
Oh, wow.
It's a totally different ball game.
Yeah.
Like just keeping the temperature consistent.
Right.
It's a huge engineering challenge. And then mixing, like imagine stirring, a swimming pool versus a cup of coffee.
Right. Completely different.
It's way more complicated than you think.
Wow. Okay. So are there any examples from the research
Oh, yeah, for sure.
that really show that these challenges?
So there's this one article that talks about an anti-cancer drug. And, they were synthesizing it in the lab using a very specific type of glassware.
Okay.
But then when they tried to scale up,
Yeah.
it totally messed things up.
Right.
Yeah, it turned out the material of the reactor in the plant
Wow.
was like subtly impacting the reaction. They were getting all these impurities.
Oh, so even the container matters.
Yeah, like big time.
Wow. That's wild. Okay, so how do they make sure?
Well, that's where pilot plants come in.
Okay, pilot plants. What are those?
They're like scaled down versions.
Like a test run.
Yeah, exactly. Like a dress rehearsal.
Okay.
Before you go full scale.
Oh, that makes sense.
So you can try things out.
Yeah.
Iron out any kinks.
Yeah.
Before you invest, millions of dollars.
Right. Okay, smart. So there's also something called a CDMO.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
So CDMOs are like the specialists.
Okay.
They're the ones who have all the expertise
Okay.
and the resources to
Okay.
handle like all the crazy details of scaling up
All right.
and manufacturing on a, commercial scale.
So they're like the master chefs.
Yeah.
Who come in and make sure the giant bakery runs smoothly.
Exactly. It's a great analogy.
But like with life-saving medicines.
Yeah, exactly. High stakes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'm guessing all of this is super regulated.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right, to keep things safe and high quality.
Absolutely. You've got your cGMPs.
cGMPs. Okay, break that down for me.
So cGMPs, they're like the rules. They make sure everything's up to snuff.
Right.
Like the FDA enforces them to guarantee quality in every single step.
So it's not just about like a clean factory?
No, it's way more than that. It's like a whole system, checks and balances.
Oh, okay.
Everything from facility design to like training the staff and
Right.
keeping super detailed records.
So it's really about minimizing any risk
Exactly. You got it.
that could affect the final drug.
Yeah, exactly. Safety and effectiveness are key.
It sounds really thorough.
It has to be, we're talking about people's health here.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, and on top of those regulations, I saw something about international guidelines,
Right.
like from the ICH.
Yeah, so the ICH, that's the International Council for Harmonization.
Okay.
They're all about making sure drugs are safe and effective
Okay.
and high quality globally.
Globally. Okay.
And one of their big things is this idea of quality by design.
Quality by design.
Mhm.
Okay. What's that all about?
So it's like instead of just checking for quality at the end,
Right.
you're building it into the process.
From the very beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So you're thinking about quality every step of the way.
Oh, okay. So instead of like checking the cookies after they're baked,
Right.
you're making sure the whole baking process is perfect.
Exactly. You nailed it. And this is where it gets really cool.
All right. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So they use this thing called design of experiments.
Design of experiments.
Yeah, they like test different variables
Oh, okay.
to figure out the perfect conditions.
So like finding the sweet spot for every setting on your oven.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to think about it.
Cool.
And technology plays a huge role here.
Okay, how so?
Well, you can use these statistical techniques
Okay.
to actually model the entire manufacturing process.
Wow.
It's called response surface methodology.
Response surface methodology.
Yeah.
All right, I need you to break that down for me.
Okay, so it's like imagine creating a 3D map.
Okay, a 3D map.
Of the whole process. You can see how all the different variables
Oh, so cool.
interact and affect the final product.
Wow, so it's like a visual guide.
Yeah.
To like fine-tune the recipe.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, and then you were saying AI is being used now too.
Oh, yeah. AI is like becoming essential, especially with all the data that's generated,
right,
during manufacturing.
Yeah.
So these AI algorithms can sift through all that data
Okay.
and find patterns, or problems.
Oh, wow.
That humans might miss.
So it's like having this incredibly attentive, quality control supervisor.
Exactly. And they never get tired.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've got all these guidelines and tools, and now AI is stepping in. It sounds like drug manufacturing is going through some huge advancements.
It really is. And it's all about making medicines, safer,
right,
more effective, and more accessible to everyone.
Okay, but before we get too far ahead, let's go back to some of those key concepts we mentioned.
Yeah, sure.
Like all those acronyms: CMA, CPP, CQAA.
Right, all those critical details.
Let's break those down and really understand.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
What they mean for drug manufacturing.
So let's start with CMA.
CMA, okay, so those are like the quality checks.
Yeah.
For the ingredients themselves, right?
Exactly.
Tell me more about that.
It's like those critical qualities of the raw materials you're using?
Okay.
It's got to be the good stuff. Like when you're baking a cake, you wouldn't use like rancid butter or stale flour.
Right. You want the best ingredients?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So CMA, it's all about making sure those raw materials are top-notch.
Okay, so like purity, particle size, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, things like that, even where the material comes from, can be super important.
Huh. So before you even start making the drug, there's already a ton of quality control going on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's all about setting those standards.
Right. Okay, so then we've got those CPPs.
Right, the critical process parameters.
So those are more about like the actual manufacturing process.
Yeah, like the recipe and how you execute it.
Okay, give me some examples.
So temperature is a big one. Got to make sure it's just right. Mixing speed, how fast you're stirring things.
Okay.
Even the order you add the ingredients can make a difference.
Wow. So it's like if you're baking a cake.
Yeah.
And the oven's too hot, it'll get all burnt.
Exactly. You don't want that happening with your medicine.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Okay. So controlling those CPPs is super important for the final product.
It's all about consistency, making sure every batch is the same.
Right. But then how do you know the final product is actually good?
That's where those CQAs come in.
CQAs.
Yeah, your critical quality attributes.
Okay, so that's like the final inspection.
Yeah, exactly. Like those characteristics of the final drug.
Okay.
That determine, if it's going to work.
So things like potency and purity?
Yeah, and stability. You don't want it to like break down on the shelf.
Right.
And even how fast it dissolves in the body.
Oh, so CQAs are really making sure those pills are ready to do their job.
You got it. And that's where all those earlier steps, like controlling those CMAs and CPPs, it all comes together to guarantee those CQAs.
Okay. I'm starting to see the whole picture here, but how do they even decide?
That's a good question.
Which attributes and parameters are the most critical?
Well, there are a lot of variables to think about.
Yeah, I bet.
So that's where this idea of QTPP comes in.
QTPP, what's that stand for?
Quality Target Product Profile.
Okay, so that's like the ideal drug profile.
Yeah, it's like the blueprint, for what you're aiming for.
Oh, cool.
It outlines all those desired qualities.
Based on what the drug's supposed to do?
It's exactly, and who it's for.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so...
Right, because you can't focus on everything.
Right, you got to pick your battles.
Exactly, and remember those design of experiments we talked about?
Oh, yeah, the DOE.
That's where you really figure out how different factors impact those CQAs.
So you're running all these experiments
Yeah.
to find the optimal settings for everything.
It's a lot of science, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is, and to help make sense of all that data,
Okay.
there's this cool technique called response surface methodology.
Response surface methodology, RSM.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, remind me what that does again.
It's like creating a visual representation of the whole process.
Okay, visual.
Like a 3D map almost.
Oh, that's cool.
You can see how all those variables interact
Oh, wow.
and affect those CQAs.
So, like, you could see how changing the temperature
Yeah.
and mixing speed
Yeah.
might affect how fast the drug dissolves.
Exactly. And the cool thing is,
Yeah.
you can use software to model it all.
Oh, wow.
Run simulations, predict outcomes.
So it's like a crystal ball.
Yeah, kind of. It's pretty powerful stuff.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not all about predictions, right?
Right.
You mentioned AI playing a role, too.
Oh, yeah. AI is a game changer.
Okay, how so?
Well, it can analyze all that data, that's generated during production
Right.
way faster and more thoroughly than a human could.
Okay.
So it can spot problems,
Like?
sometimes even before they happen.
Wow, so it's like having this incredibly meticulous
Yeah,
quality control supervisor.
exactly. And they never take a break.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
So all of this, from cGMPs to DOE to AI,
Yeah.
it's really about making sure those medicines are safe and effective.
That's the whole point, right? We want to make sure those pills are
Yeah.
doing what they're supposed to do.
Exactly, and that they're reliable.
Absolutely. Consistency is key.
Mhm.
Patients need to be able to trust that their medication is going to work the same way every time.
That makes sense.
It
It's amazing how far we've come.
really is. The science and technology behind drug manufacturing, it's just incredible.
Yeah, but it's not just technology, right? There's the human element, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All those scientists and engineers and technicians,
Yeah,
they're the ones who make it all happen.
that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in all the tech,
Yeah,
but we can't forget about the people.
right. They're the brains behind the operation.
So what kind of expertise do you need to
Well,
work in this world of drug manufacturing?
I mean, you definitely need a good grasp of chemistry,
Uh-huh.
understanding those reactions, how to synthesize the drug.
Okay,
But you also need that engineering side,
right.
designing the equipment,
Mm.
operating it, all that stuff. And then you've got the statistics
All right.
for analyzing the data and making sure everything's up to par.
So it's like a super interdisciplinary field.
Totally. You got to wear a lot of hats.
You got to be a jack of all trades in the science world.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And on top of all that, I bet there's a lot of pressure,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
knowing that you're making medicine.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility, you know?
Yeah, that people rely on.
Yeah, people's lives are at stake.
But it must be really rewarding, too.
It is, to know that you're part of something
Right.
that's helping people, developing life-saving medications.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've talked about AI and all these advanced techniques.
Yeah.
What else is coming down the pipeline for drug manufacturing?
Well, one thing that's really cool is continuous manufacturing.
Continuous manufacturing. Okay, what's that?
So traditionally, drug production has been a batch process.
Okay.
You do one step, then the next, then the next.
Huh?
But continuous manufacturing, it's more like an assembly line.
Oh, interesting.
Things are flowing constantly through the system.
Oh, so it's like instead of baking one batch of cookies at a time,
Right.
you've got a continuous stream of dough going through the oven.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it. And that can really sped things up.
Okay.
Reduce waste, make the whole process more efficient.
Wow, so it's all about streamlining.
Yeah, and you can monitor things in real time,
Okay,
which is great for quality control.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Any other trends we should know about?
Oh, yeah, there's personalized medicine.
Personalized medicine. Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds futuristic.
It kind of is, but imagine, medications
Yeah.
that are tailored to your specific needs,
Wow.
like your genes or your health conditions.
So like a custom-made suit, but for medicine.
Yeah, exactly. It could totally change how we treat diseases.
That's wild. Okay, so how do we get there? How do we make personalized medicine happen?
Well, we need flexible manufacturing systems
Okay.
that can handle smaller batches, of
Right.
these specialized drugs.
Yeah.
And that's where things like 3D printing and microfluidics come in.
Oh, wow. Those technologies are really going to shake things up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. It's an exciting time to be in this field, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Who knows what we'll be able to do in the future.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive.
Glad you enjoyed it.
I've learned so much.
Good, good.
It's incredible, all the work that goes into making those little pills.
Yeah, the whole hidden world.
It really is. Thank you so much for walking us through it all.
My pleasure. Anytime.
And for our listeners, if you're as fascinated by this as we are,
Yeah, definitely check out.
be sure to check out the show notes.
Yeah.
We've got links to some of the resources we talked about.
Yeah, tons of great information out there.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this deep dive.
Until next time.
Stay curious out there.